All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to take a trip back to the 90s, a time of dial-up, bowl cuts, and some seriously unforgettable pop culture. We're going to break down the entertainment that wasn't just, something to watch. This stuff fundamentally shaped a whole generation. So here's our roadmap for today. We're kicking things off with a comedy that basically gave us a whole new language. Then we'll dive into a video game superstition that still freaks out pro athletes. After that, we'll look at the exact moment pro wrestling got a little too real. And finally, we'll check out the game that caused such a panic it changed an entire industry. First up, Dumb and Dumber. And look, this wasn't just another comedy. It was pretty much a masterclass in what we'd call stupid funny, and it absolutely nailed the comedic vibe of the entire decade.
Oh man, this line is legendary. It's way more than just a funny quote, right? It became part of our actual vocabulary. It was the perfect nonsensical escape hatch for any awkward conversation, and pretty much every group of friends I knew started using it immediately.
The movie's influence was just instant and huge. It didn't just open at #1, it made Jim Carrey a certified megastar. I mean, a $7 million paycheck back then was absolutely insane. It also somehow made the bowl cut a legit hairstyle choice, for better or worse. And what's wild is that some of the most memorable moments, like that whole "we landed on the moon" line, were totally improvised on the spot.
And this line right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the movie. It's about this relentless, almost weaponized optimism. Think about it. You tell someone the odds are literally 1,000,000 to 1, and all Lloyd Christmas hears is, "Great, so it's not 0." It's just such a hilarious and complete rejection of reality.
This moment is just genius. It perfectly captures that humor. We've all been there, right? Fumbling for a name that's right on the tip of your tongue. The movie just takes that incredibly relatable feeling and cranks the absurdity up to 1,000. It's easily one of the most quotable gags ever. Okay, now let's switch gears. We're going from the movies to the digital football field. This is where a really bizarre fan theory about a video game cover somehow turned into a full-blown superstition that actual professional athletes take seriously. So what is the Madden curse exactly? Well, it's the simple but also kind of terrifying belief that if you get picked to be the face of the biggest football game on the planet, your next season is totally doomed. It's a digital jinx that players openly talk about being afraid of. So check this out. After Brett Favre got hit by the curse in 2009, the game developers got clever. For Madden 10, they thought, hey, let's put 2 stars on the cover. We'll outsmart the curse. Yeah, that backfired spectacularly. The curse didn't split its focus. It just took out both guys. Troy Polamalu was injured 5 games into the season, and Larry Fitzgerald went down in the playoffs. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? As these coincidences just kept piling up year after year, fans and even some of the players started to wonder, is this all just incredibly bad luck? Or is there something else going on, something genuinely weird tied to that video game cover? All right, let's pivot from the virtual world into the wrestling ring, because the 90s brought a straight-up revolution to wrestling. All that family-friendly, superhero-style entertainment from the 80s was about to get tossed aside for something way darker, edgier, and a lot more real. This whole decade was defined by a brutal head-to-head rivalry. Every single Monday night, you had the established giant, the WWF, going up against the hungry challenger, WCW. If you were a fan, you were glued to your TV, flipping channels back and forth, because you just couldn't risk missing the next shocking moment. The war really truly exploded in 1995 with just an unbelievable act of defiance. The person who was the current WWF Women's Champion showed up on the other company's live TV show, and she was still holding the WWF Championship belt. I mean, this moment just showed everybody how personal and how vicious this whole thing had gotten. To drop your competitor's championship belt into a trash can on live TV, that was the ultimate sign of disrespect. It sent a message loud and clear. The old rules were gone. So, fast forward 2 years. The WWF's back is against the wall. They're losing the ratings war, and they decide to fight back. But not by creating a new superhero. They did it by talking directly to the audience and basically admitting that their old way of doing things was over. So, the crucial point here, this was Vince McMahon breaking the fourth wall. He was basically telling the whole world, you're right, our show has gotten stale and predictable, and we're done with it.
This speech officially killed the era of cartoon characters and launched the raw, violent, and reality-based attitude era. Okay, for our final stop, we're looking at a video game that was so controversial, it ended up being debated in the US Congress and forced an entire industry to change how it does business forever.
The whole public outcry was really fueled by the media. The claim going around was that this game, Night Trap, wasn't a game at all, but a sick simulation where the entire goal was to brutally attack and kill women.
But the actual game, well, the reality was completely different. You played as an agent, and your job was to save the people at the party. The bad guys were these kind of clumsy, goofy-looking figures in black that you had to capture by springing traps at the right time. Honestly, it was more like a cheesy B-horror movie puzzle than some violent simulator. But the reality didn't really matter. The public pressure got so huge that right before the holidays, major stores like Toys R Us and KB Toys just completely caved and pulled the game from their shelves everywhere. And this is why it's so important. This whole mortal panic was the direct cause for the creation of the Entertainment Software Rating Board, or the ESRB. You know, the E for everyone, T for teen, and M for mature ratings you see on every single video game box? They exist today entirely because of the controversy over Night Trap. So why does all of this matter? Well, when you look at everything together, the absurd comedy of Dumb and Dumber, a bizarre sports superstition, the brutal reality of the wrestling wars, and a moral panic over a video game, you start to see a pattern. The 90s were an era defined by people taking huge creative risks that pushed all the boundaries and left a permanent mark on the entertainment we still enjoy today. And that leaves us with a final thought. What's being created right now? A movie, a TV show, a game that 30 years from now, people are going to look back on and say, yeah, that was the thing that defined our generation. What are the moments from our time that people will be making explainers about in 2054?